Hello, and welcome to the Beer Jerk Beer of the Week Drink Along. I'm Luke, and this week we're drinking Scoria, which is a red IPA. Red IPAs are delicious. I love red IPAs. I was just having a little bit of a look through previous beers of the week, and we haven't had that many, you know. We had the Sawmill Red IPA back in 2018, and we had Riding Pine from Southport a few weeks ago, which was really fantastic. But yeah, red IPAs sort of had a big moment maybe 6 years ago when lots of them were around, and they've been sort of semi-forgotten about. But I feel like whenever I'm with brewers or with beer drinkers and just drinking a nice red IPA, it's inevitably that everyone talks about how fantastic they are and they wish they'd see more around. So if you're watching this and you're a brewer, please make more red IPAs. They're delicious all year round. So this one smells fantastic. And also tastes fantastic. And it's from a brewery somewhat enigmatically named Little Thief versus Damaged Goods, which leads to a lot of questions. Who the heck are they? If you're watching this and you're not in the central North Island around Ruapehu, it's quite likely that you may not have tried one of their beers before, because they're a pretty small outfit. So Scott is Damaged Goods and Paul is Little Thief. And there are a couple of pals that live in Orakuni, and Ruapehu, born and bred really. I had a good chat with Paul earlier about how he was born on the other side of the mountain, and his dad used to work at the chateau, and he grew up around there, and so and Scott's lived in the area for 25 years plus. So they're both very, very connected with that region, and hence Scoria taking its name from sort of volcanic rock formations, which is such a unique part of the world around that area. So really cool to see some pretty brilliant artwork. I really like sort of the geodesic shapes in there, and really nice sort of typography with how they've done the Scoria there. So yeah, a couple of just enthusiastic beer mates, and for them, making beer is it's a side hustle. It's just a really fun hobby. It's not either of their main business. Scott is a professional cabinet maker that works in construction. He's a very talented musician. Paul works in the film industry, so he works with sort of unit and locations, so works on all the big movies that happen here, sort of coordinating productions. And he also has a place in Orakuni called The Kitchen. So that's a restaurant and bar. So if you want to drink more Little Thief versus Damaged Goods, you can always find their beers on tap there. And all around that region, actually. So all of the sort of après-ski sort of places in the area have some of the beers on. And they I was going to say they don't have their own brewery. They do have a little pilot kit. So they do lots of little test batches there. But when they're doing their full-size brews, they contract brew at various breweries around the country, actually. So they just collaborate and brew with people that have got bigger brew kits that they just sort of give their recipe to, and they get on with it. And so this Scoria is possibly their oldest recipe. So Paul was saying it was a beer that they developed with Steve Nally of Invercargill Brewing. So if you've been drinking beer for a little while, you may have fond memories of Invercargill and some of their fantastic beers. Unfortunately, they closed their operation down a few years ago. So the red IPA is it's a relatively new style. I think it entered the BGCP, that's the like beer judging certification program guidelines, in 2015. So of course that was not when the first red IPAs came out, but that's when it entered the sort of standard guidelines. And it's sort of it's quite close to a malty American amber ale, but a little bit more hop forward. And the guidelines are a little bit skewed if you look at them. It's kind of, there's a lot of overlap, I suppose. But generally, it's a maltier version than an IPA. You get some more red malts in there, more sort of a bit more, I suppose, bit of spice and maltiness in the body. But it's an IPA, and it's all about the hops. But it's a bit of balance. It's not like overwhelmingly bitter or overwhelmingly hop forward. And this is made with all New Zealand hops, so it's got a real nice amount of Motueka, which is one of my favourite New Zealand hops. That's where you're getting the the real nice like lime zest character to it. And it's got some Southern Cross, which is another delicious hop. So that's sort of like the, yeah, like spicy character, like resiny notes. And also Waimea is the third hop in there. So that's more like traditionally pine needle sort of flavor and tropical notes. So all of these things are working really nicely with the sort of the red malt base, just to give you a really well-rounded beer. And Paul was saying how he designed this beer for après-ski. So it's a beer made for their region and exactly for that purpose, that you come down the mountain after a tough day snowboarding or skiing. And it's a beer that you can have a few of, but it's, yeah, you perhaps wouldn't feel like a nice crispy cold lager after being on the snow mountain all day. So it's something that's got a nice bit of body to it. It's slightly warming, slightly higher alcohol, but it's not too over the top with the hops. It's not one of those beers that you just drink one glass of and that's enough for you and then you move on. So I think they did a pretty fantastic job here. And yeah, as I say, I'm really excited about all of you out there that are trying a beer from these guys for the first time, because I really like the cut of their jib. They do some really cool stuff. And again, it's always cool to see people that are just really passionate and are taking their sort of, their home brewing and their hobbies and what they're into to the next level. And I think it's often the way that the people that are perhaps doing some of the most interesting things or the most excited are people that are, have that enthusiast mentality, that they haven't yet got jaded by the ins and outs of running a big commercial brewery. So they don't release many beers. I think they aim to release about 4 beers per year. So they've only released a handful in package so far. So this is obviously the first one we've had as a beer of the week. I think we've had most of their beers just in our various different mix cases here at Beer Jack. So yeah, excited to see what more stuff they're going to be doing. And I'm way overdue a trip to Central North Ireland, so I'm looking forward to getting down to Ruapehu and having a beer with the guys amongst the mountains. I hope you enjoy it. Other stuff we've got going on here at the Fridge and Flagon, it is Auckland Beer Week in a week or two. So that's at the end of the month. Kicks off the 29th of July. And there's all sorts of really interesting events going on. So grab one of these flyers from all the venues or here at the Fridge and Flagon. I've just been coordinating the Auckland Beer Mile Olympics. So all the venues along sort of through Kingsland, Eden Terrace are going to be doing different sports. So there's going to be darts at Galbraith's, there's going to be golf at Urban Orts. Here we're having a Super Mario Kart tournament at the Fridge and Flagon. We've got a really fun event we're doing with Mounts here. That's going to be a delicious dark night. So they've partnered with a local bakery, so that's going to be an evening of desserts and good dark beers. So you can find details and buy tickets for that on our social media accounts. And to kick it all off on Saturday the 29th, we're doing Jabs. So that's the Jerks Auckland Beer Showcase. So Joe has been curating a really, really special list from just some of our favourite brewers from all over the country. So we're going to have good music, we've got Passa Passa doing food, so just one of our classic mini festivals here at the Fridge and Flagon. Anyway, hope you enjoy this beer. Great work, Scott, great work, Paul, and we'll catch you next time for another Beer of the Week. Cheers.